Hey Roger, what's going on? I say good job at Paris Barclays the other day against Djokovic. I think you just need to keep plugging along, but you look fantastic. I was looking online, I saw a couple of people. Actually, you got like 49 thumbs up on a comment where somebody said you really should have won the match at Basel against Del Potro. That match was really yours. I didn't get to see that match, so I don't know, but I know it was like 49 thumbs up on it, so it was a pretty popular statement. And, just keep pressing along, keep working hard, see you running and all over and doing what you need to do. Obviously, if you can still figure out how to, sort of possibly eliminate some of those shots that will cause that will cause the opponent to make you run as much. I know that probably sounds so obvious and so stupid, probably a little bit annoying too, but that would be great. And I saw something online too where somebody was making a comment saying that you need to hit your backhands with more topspin, even though that's ridiculously hard. Um, and people were talking about, again, a lot of short balls that are not drop shots, that not of balls that are not drop shots that end up short, allowing the player to come to net and really sort of neutralize your effort and your shots. So I think you just, there's no absence of physicality. I think there's no absence of fitness, and there's no absence of a certain level of intensity, but just some tweaks in the game. And again, I think I actually saw an interview, a CNN interview. I think it was CNN. It was either CNN or whatever. You did a series of interviews, actually, some good ones. One with a young lady I follow on Twitter. I didn't even realize. I think her name was Marina. She's super cool. I had no idea that she was like a little more professional journalist, and so she was like a Roger. She's always been like a straight Roger Federer fan, so I had no idea she was a journalist. But I've been following her. I guess I don't know. I think we follow each other actually for a couple of years now, and so she had like an 18-minute interview with you that was really good, and it's very funny how frank you both were, how with each other. There's a couple of things that she talked about that I thought she was very frank with you. It was very, very interesting. So anyway, it was either that interview or a CNN interview, but I think it was a CNN interview where you were saying that a lot of people want to weigh in and they say, they want to analyze your matches, or if you lost, they want to overanalyze you. Probably guilty. Or what can I say? Only thing I can say is I can put out these videos and you can switch them on and off. You're gonna do what you want to do. So whatever. I'm just gonna keep saying whatever I need to say, I suppose. And if you like it, you will listen. If you don't, and it doesn't work for you, you will just turn it off. And I say that with love. But I don't think, I feel like there's certain things that you see. I think it was something that you said, and I don't want to really read into your interview too much, into your interview comments, because maybe that'll inhibit you from saying what you feel in the future, and I definitely wouldn't want that to happen. But I would say that when people are giving criticism, it doesn't mean, I don't know, you wouldn't have said something like, oh my gosh, like, am I playing that bad, or are my shots that bad, is my form looking that bad, was something to that effect. And I don't think that it's, I just don't, I'm not sure that I think that anything is wrong, like with your form or your fitness or anything. I think a lot of people just think it's like a mental hurdle, and I do think it might be possibly something that you can't perceive, and I don't mean that you are incapable, or I don't mean that you are not smart by saying that, but it's just, it's just something that you can't perceive. Maybe you haven't been able to perceive, but I do believe it is a little bit somewhat mental. It doesn't mean that you don't perform well or perform higher, but I do think there's a lot of mental dialogue that goes on, and you could kind of see it in that match the other day with Djokovic. I mean, had you even just pressed a little harder and held the line and had not, I don't want to say panic, but I do sort of want to say panic. Um, but I don't want to use the word panic in a way where it's insulting. I want to say it in a way that in the tough moments, in the tight moments, you didn't let I felt like you kind of didn't let the game sort of come to you. You kind of, forced it, I guess. Or whatever. But I felt like you didn't really perceive the fact that Djokovic himself was panicking. You know, he was panicking. He knew you were up at first set, and he knew that you were playing well. And I tell you, I'm not sure because Roger, I just feel like you like so deep into your own self dialogue and your own beliefs that you can't even tell that it's necessarily anything mental, but it does come out on the court, and I don't think that you could perceive it. And as soon as you start perceiving it, I think you'll be able to really continue to ascend and excel and really pass anyone at this point in time because you are really looking great, and playing amazing. And you are still, and I don't even want to say still, you're just really highly capable of beating these top players. So, yeah, I don't think you noticed that Djokovic is actually panicking. He's panicking, but he managed to calm himself down. I give him kudos for that, but he was panicking for a little while. And I managed to catch an interview with him after the match, and he clearly addressed that. He said that the one with the cool head always wins in the end. And I think that you're one of the people who actually taught him that. In addition, I got to give him credit, for all of those long, epic matches, probably 2010, 2011, especially that one against Rafa, again, that particular player has a way of making people erode mentally because he's just that type of player who plays very intensely, and that's tough in a high level match. And that's something interesting that Djokovic always said. He said, we tennis players may seem like we're cool, but there's so much going on in our head. There's so much going on in our head. And I mean, I was glad that he kind of said that. I was glad that he was asked about the mental aspect because I feel like, once you really start acknowledging all of that, the fact that so much is going on in the head, you really can overcome it. And I'm not sure that you sort of acknowledge some of it. I feel, I don't know. I don't totally know, but I feel like there are definitely some mental aspects. I also feel that you could take a look at your own mental dialogue before getting on the court, working through those things, And again, I do believe that Djokovic learned how to calm down from you, especially at Wimbledon. When you played really calm, cool, and collected. I mean, you were really quiet. You were like a quiet killer. You know what I mean? You just kept killing it quietly. You didn't get into this whole rah-rah thing. You just kept serving the ball, kept your head down. I think it was only one time in the entire match where you really celebrated. But for the most part, you were really quiet. And I believe that after that match, Djokovic learned from you. And I believe he was doing the same thing against Ryan Harrison. He was just like kicking Ryan Harrison. He was just owning Ryan Harrison. He was owning him. I forget what. It might have been the U.S. Open after Wimbledon. U.S. Open of 2012. I mean, he just annihilated Ryan Harrison, but he was a totally different Joker, calm, cool, collected, and I was like, that's a total Federer move, you know. And I know that you probably saying, wait a minute, 1 minute she's saying that I'm not mentally, you know, composed or something like that, and then the next minute she's saying I'm composed. You are tremendously composed, um, but there's certain different aspects out of that composure that I do feel are a hindrance to you actually winning, actually being in your rightful place to excel, because you absolutely can do this. I mean, I'm not even just saying this as a fan. Like, you could totally do this. You could totally beat these guys, you know? I mean, great win over Del Potro the other day. I did not get to see that match, but just freaking epic. I love it. I love it. And I think you've got an amazing chance at the World Tour Finals if you just play your cards right. Now, there was one part um, in the tennis match where you know, you Djokovic broke because I think you double faulted at one point in the time in the third set or whatever. Somebody said, I mean, one of the commentators afterward said that that was a lack of concentration on your part. The fact, I think it was two backhands into the net or whatever, and then those weren't those. You know, you double faulted. That wasn't the two backhands into the net, but that was another unforced error. Those were two unforced errors. But that serving, kept serving into the net. You know, but there's such things as just natural errors and stuff. But somebody said that's a lack of concentration, and that comes with blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, give me a break. You know, really. But I do think certain lack of concentration can come from nerves. So, I mean, can you ask yourself, like, what was going on there? Was it really, truly just a mistake, or were you kind of nervous and a little bit, the nervousness was clouded the concentration? So, you know, just still getting a handle on that in those key moments is great. Just like I told you in my other videos, like, how do you want to go into a tie break? You know what I mean? How do you want to go into these tough moments where someone has got 30 on you, you know, and you want to save break points? You know, how do you want to keep yourself composed? And I think it's all about renewing that contract with yourself going into the World Tour Finals. Just renewing that contract. Like, how do I want to handle the moments under pressure? Now, there were times when, I mean, Djokovic is literally panicking. I mean, maybe you couldn't perceive it from across the court, but I could clearly see it on TV. And Djokovic even admitted it, like I said, afterward. But you were already, by the time Djokovic was at 30 to 40 on your serve, it was like you mentally resigned that you knew you were going to fuck up. And I know it's easy to perceive. Do you know, Roger, how you can look at the TV and see somebody playing maybe in football or some other sport, and you know that they've sort of, you can see the shift in the thinking, or you can see the shift in the body language or whatever. You can see it in your body language. And so I think, coming back to your CNN comment about people saying, oh, there's something mental going on. It's not that you have a mental problem, but there's some mental dialogue there that I think is definitely definitely a hindrance. You know, it's like you're your biggest opponent on the court rather than being available and being clear. Because like Djokovic said, it's the one with a clear head who always in the end takes it, you know, and that's where you need to go. In addition to that, there were times when there was some aggressive points on the court, and you could literally see that you actually slowed the ball down, that you actually wanted to communicate to the opponent, Djokovic, like, okay, no, we don't need to play so hard. It's a little bit, this is my perception of it. This is what I think the communication was about. It happened, but I don't fully, the action happened, but I'm assuming that this is what the actual communication was. Like, it's getting a little too aggressive now. Let me slow the ball down. And you did that at least on 2 occasions that I saw, and he took advantage of that. He did not participate in that dialogue, and again, I think it's about getting comfortable with the violence, the certain violence that's in tennis. And I talked about this in my video in 2012 going into Wimbledon, like not being afraid of that violence that is in tennis, really taking it, really hitting that ball hard, and like, being, can you be okay with someone hitting it to you or being aggressive and being aggressive back? Can you be in that moment? Can you be in that can you be in aggressive dialogue with someone and not judge it and not go, oh, this is wrong, let me slow it down, oh, this is wrong, like, these are the things that are not helping. It's just a game. Nobody's getting killed. You're not looking like you have no class. You're not, it's just about, I think, really just sitting down and thinking about what is your belief system around being in dialogue with someone, returning balls aggressively when they want it, and really fighting for it, really holding your ground, and really understanding this is what the cost is to win this point, and being okay with it in that moment. It's not the I don't think anyone is going to hate you for being in that dialogue, because Djokovic, yeah, he took those points. You literally slowed the ball down. And I saw you do this years ago in Wimbledon as well, and a few other tournaments, but I saw that in Wimbledon, I think it was like 2010, against, it was either Mario Anchik or Ivo Karlovic. And I think you might remember from my other videos that I talked about that. But I think that if you don't get comfortable, especially in this indoor court season with just the best of three, where you don't have a lot of time to play around with, you got to be really intense and out the gate, like as soon as a match starts. In order to win it, you got to be like out the gate, as opposed to like a 5-set, best of 5. I think that's one thing you can work on, like just examining, like, what's my belief system around being in aggressive dialogue with someone? How does that feel? What am I making up about it? Why do I stop? Why do I step out of it when this is a competition where I should be stepping forward in it to take my own point? And how can I understand that this is actually okay to really force the point, or just be comfortable in this dialogue? If the other person is forcing the point, but you're going to force it back, and that it's not violent or uncivilized, so I think it's really important to, like, really get down to your own self-dialogue about your own belief systems about that, and really neutralize those belief systems, and then you'll be more comfortable in when you're in that dialogue with someone, because there is a certain violence in tennis. It's very, very funny, because someone the other day was telling me that they don't prefer tennis, they prefer sports of more violence. But I was like, actually, there's quite a bit of violence in tennis, especially in the higher end matches and things like that, where people, the cost to win the point is really being comfortable with being aggressive. There's nothing wrong with it, and you can be aggressive and still have class and be civilized. But understanding the level of aggressiveness that needs to take place in order to win the point, and being okay in that dialogue with someone when they're really forcing the point, really stepping in and paying the cost to get the point. So, other than that, I think, like I said, I think your chances for World Tour finals are totally excellent, given that you, just reevaluate everything, like your thought process sometimes at BNP. you kind of let points go because you could already see you're resigned to losing them. Like I said, one example was when at one point Djokovic had, I don't know if it was 30 on 4, you were at 40, he was at 30. It was that, and it was deuce, you know, he was at deuce, and you just kind of you were resigned, you know. So when a lot of people are saying something about the mental aspect or asking you about the mental aspect, there's kind of a little something there. You know, you should just be very careful of what your dialogue is when you're giving up. It's not to say that you are really a person who gives up, but you did resign yourself a few times. And for me, resigning yourself is already saying, like, this isn't going to work. I know what's going to happen here, or we're going to lose the point, you know. So you have to recognize that you already are starting off with very negative dialogue. You don't even believe that you can win in the first place on some level. You're trying hard, but there's still something going on in the mental dialogue and in the belief system, and you really need to really need to work that out of your system. Otherwise, you're not going to win these matches, and you're totally physically capable of doing it. So anyway, that's enough on this subject. You are doing a fantastic job. I hope that you will, you know, take into account, I guess, what was said, and I think make some tweaks and changes, and I think you will do extremely well. You could take the World Tour Finals. I mean, you could beat Djokovic, you could beat Rafa, you could beat Del Potro. You know, it's just going to take, you know, that mental availability, and the only way you're going to be really mentally available, Roger, is to really wrestle out that negative belief system and that negative dialogue. And you do have one. There's evidence of one there because of the fact that you resign yourself at deuce against someone rather than playing the point through. And it did happen. And it's not to, once again, point fingers and say, oh my God, you're a terrible person. No, it's not that at all. It's just that people know your absolute potential, and they want to see you succeed. And when they see things, little menial things, standing in the way of you actually taking and winning a match that should have rightfully been yours, that's what this is all about. So good luck. I'm so proud of you. Overall, you're doing a fantastic job. Just really active, and all those things that I think if you, you know, really start, you know, looking at your belief system. You don't say mental aspect. You use the word confidence a lot, and I mean that's a belief system. Confidence is a belief system. We all struggle with it. I mean, listen to what Nole said. You know, it's like he said you have no idea, like, all the things that are going on in the tennis player's mind and how much panicking actually goes on. And I could totally understand that, especially in high stakes matches. What you guys do is amazing. It's amazing what you do, Roger, you know. But people know that you can absolutely excel and do better, and there's just no reason, and I'm not saying it in a negative way, but there's no logical reason to really be, there's no logical reason to really have to lose a match that you should have won. I'll put it like that. I mean, if it's only just something based on a belief system, I think people are looking at it as something you can neutralize, work out of your system, and then the brain will be completely prepared to, as Djokovic says, be the calmer head who wins the match in the tough moments. So again, I think in the tough moments, you know, it's about revisiting beforehand, before the match, like, how do I want to show up in the so-called tough moments? How do I want to show up for myself? Where do I want to support myself in my belief system? Where am I making judgments before something happens, like when a point is a deuce and you kind of just resign, like, oh, they're going to get the advantage point, and then, oh, they're going to just take the point and they're going to break the serve, you know. where do you start not rewriting, writing, already pre-writing like a false future? You know, those couple of moments where you are just like, oh, the opponent's gonna win, and you can see it in the body language. You know, so I think writing a contract, figuring out how you want to approach that dialogue, not going into negative dialogue, and then making it into a self-fulfilling prophecy. Um, and then just how you want to show up, you know. This is the end of the year. You're looking fantastic. I really don't think it, you know, being ranked seventh, you know, not winning a lot of tournaments this year. Honestly, for me, I really don't feel like that's such a big deal. I mean, of course, I would love for you to have one more, but I mean, it's you know, some people are saying, oh, this is Roger's worst first season or whatever. I don't really feel a sense of panic the way people used to be saying, oh, he should retire. It's probably time to retire when you were like number one and number three in the world. He should retire. You know, I don't feel any of that stupidity. I don't see any. I don't feel that from the news. But I don't think this the fact that this season wasn't as successful as the last season, anywhere possibly near it, and I'm sure in your head, um, is such a big deal. I think last year was a lot of strain. I think, you know, it was a lot of work um, mentally that you did in your matches, and that's exhausting. Moving, I feel like you were doing certain things that were a little out of your comfort zone, mentally wise. You know, like you went from Roland Garros being like angry man, you know, and I'm not making fun of you because I'm not saying that I don't get angry and lose it, so I'm not criticizing. But you went from that to Wimbledon in just a couple of weeks, being really quiet, pulling through a match with Beneteau, you know, where I remember you said it was, woo, he's like, woo, that was brutal, and I bet it was. Jesus, it was brutal, like, just watching the freaking score. Deuce, you know, then advantage Beneteau, then deuce, then advantage Federer, then deuce, then advantage Beneteau. So I imagine if it were like that for me as a fan, what the hell it could have been like for you, and I was just glad that you really pulled through. I imagine that was a lot of strain. Then you had a back injury. You managed to get through it. I think it was Melise. Of course, you just destroyed Yu's knee. I think you went through Yu's knee. And who else? I'm trying to think. Who else? And then, of course, like, you had to get through the number one person in the world and the number four person in the world. So it wasn't no easy road, as well as you always get tough draws. And, you know, I'm not even going to lie, like, Rafa has gotten a lot of easy draws, you know, over the years. So, I mean, it's not a wonder, you know, he's gotten a lot of manageable draws. You know, you get all of these draws stacked upon, like just like last year where you had at the Australian Open. That draw was insane. But you always get hard draws because I think, you know, I think people, otherwise, if you got anything that was a little bit less, you would have had a gang of more titles, Grand Slam majors, and you probably easily would have surpassed 20, 21, 22, especially. So I do think that there's a little bit of a conspiracy, you know, and you can't help but think about it when you see like people like Rafa constantly, like, year after fucking year, getting easy ass draws. I'm sorry. You know, it's not to say that he doesn't work hard, because he does. Not to say that he doesn't grind, because he does. But I'm just saying, his draws, his side of the draws have been easy at Roland Garros. I think it was last year and the year before that, you know, so let's just keep it real. I think also at the Australian Open, I mean, Djokovic had a freaking cakewalk, straight guaranteed to the finals last year at the Australian Open. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I forgot what the hell I was trying to say. But and then you're in a fantastic position to actually take the World Tour finals. You totally can do it against these people. It will take a for you to be out of your way mentally. And when I say mentally, I'm talking about what you always say about confidence, and that mental dialogue, not allowing to make negative conclusions, and create self-fulfilling prophecies, but just clearing the mind and making it available to win. So anyway, all right, that's it for today. Good luck with everything. You're looking fantastic, I have to tell you. Looking really great. So good job. Keep it up. And, seriously, you're definitely in a position physically, even mentally, the couple of tweaks to really do this, work on some more, keep working strategically. You're looking good. And you can take it. That's all. You can take it. Just focus hard on it. Don't even give up in one moment on it, and you will have that trophy. So talk to you soon. See you at the finish line.